Up, y'all? This is Rhythm Phoenix. Ashe, peace, hotep. You know what I'm saying? I'm not affiliated with any conscious community, north, south, east, or west. This is an individual journey that I'm sharing with you in and on the path of knowledge. So, um, once again, I am a researcher. You know what I'm saying? I study things. I do things like that. Um, and at the beginning of it all, I'm a spiritual being, which is basically some type of experienced observer, or an observer that is experiencing a physical manifestation of vibratory energy in the universe, composed of, as we know of today, as 3D reality. And in 3D reality, we are bathed in veils, and we look outward and we see things that are bathed in veils. Everything is covered up. Everything is covered up by matter or material existence. Behind the material existence or matter is the actual source of it all. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I go to. That's where I lead to. That's what I study. I study I guess you can say what they would call the occultic. I just call it the hidden aspect of reality that basically drives reality. The main driver of reality that personifies all of its ideas and things into this reality and manifests it is the human being. And so the human being is the biggest mystery of all things. I mean, with the exception of cosmic processes and how we came to be in the first place, or the earth itself, just everything, the sensual perception of this exterior reality, this external reality, and how we, according to the ancients, are actually foreigners here, and our true home is actually essence of abstraction, or a realm of true reality, you see. And the ancient civilizations of this earth or of this world knew about this stuff and was so into it that maybe somewhere down the line, as we became more and more deep into sleep and slumber like we are today, it changed everything and shit fell apart. But before that, man, we was doing good. We was doing good. We were connecting with that hidden part of us. You know what I mean? And what's amazing about it is that there's a reverse thing going on, because you would say, okay, the other side is some shit that we can't see. Everything here is what we can see. Therefore, this is the reality. We don't want to leave this world. You know what I mean? If we die, we go into darkness and non-existence and stuff like that. But if that is the source of your existence and where you came from, just like your mother, or just like your home that you was raised in and you left and moved away from and things like that, then we are dealing with a soul's awakening to the fact that its surroundings are not its true home, and it is a foreigner in this existence, and its special existence or manifestation here is to transform and transcend all of this into a higher reality akin to itself. You know what I mean? Or itself self. You know what I mean? Basically the God of all itself. You know what I'm saying? That I'm going ahead of myself. But my whole thing is to talk about the skamba. The skamba actually representing the obelisk, the Tekanu of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, representing the symbol of individual existence, cosmically, mentally, physically, psychically, many levels of existence pertaining to the human being, or the soul. All right, and its connection to, all right, this skamba, this Tekanu, this obelisk, this right here on the front of the book, Kemetic Tree of Life by Muata Ashby. This here is called the Tekanu in the ancient Kemetic language, or metal nectar, which were pictographs. And within it were all the deities of the cosmos, all the powers of the gods. The gods was within all of this, and all of these comprised into one known as Ra, or Atun Ra, or Keper Ra Atun, which was the 3 in 1. All right. The splitter of all of that was the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother, one of her aspects in ancient Kemet was Heru. And I believe one of the manifestations in the Hindu is Prajapati. And I'm going ahead of myself again, but this is the symbol of your subtle body, your inner self, your inner reality, who you really are. And within you are these composite, well, you are the composite self of all of these little selves in your microcosm, and then you are a microcosm of the macrocosm, right? And it goes so far to say that you either are a soul of many souls within of this cosmic tree of life, and I'm speaking metaphorically and things like that and in analogies, or you are a self of the many selves split from that primordial 0 point of existence, right? That this deity here represents you as Noon, as the non-existent one that is existing through these entities which become one within you. That boat is actually your lifespan, and the boat is actually your life personality traits. All right, they call it the Inyad. All right, in ancient Kemet there was a city called the city of Kaminu, which Tahuti was over, and that was called the city of the 8, which was also represented as Hermopolis. Now, the city of the 8 is a great reference into the ancient Egyptians' way of looking at the world and this unreality or Maya or illusion that they, i.e. we, are in. You see what I'm saying? And what it is, it's like a trap or an embalming. It's an embodiment. You know what I mean? We are really the mummies. Or what we can say is that what we express within ourselves out of this body manifested as an ego, as ego traits and conditioning of the human body and the will, and you operating on this entity known as Luke or John or Jimmy or Reggie or Larry or Harry or Deborah or any name, whatever, male or female, when that is a veil for the actual self that is basically the operator of your existence, right? That it is the Lord of your existence. You seem to not understand it because it is you that is the Lord. You know what I mean? It is you that is the Lord, but you are down here in this descendant fashion known as the ego, not the big head ego thing, but this lower self, this little self that's down here operating off of the 5 sense reality, and then the mind, and then the mind connecting to something other than the reality, and then you thinking that you are more than what the 3D reality is. You see what I'm saying? And it goes on and on and on. And that's all dealing with what we call this symbol here. This symbol is the same symbol as the letter 1. It's the same symbol as the letter I. The big I, uppercase I, represents the macrocosm, and the lowercase little I, represent with the dot on top, represents the microcosm. The dot on top is your 0 point energy. It is the source of your life, basically, right? In 3D reality, one of the symbols of it being separated into many personalities or many souls or many lifetimes as that one is the symbol of the zodiac. Okay, today it is 12. It used to be less than that, and the 12 circle around the earth, or at least the neighborhood of our inner space or our earth, because clearly the zodiacs are millions of these stars are millions of light years away, and they represent the boundaries of the zoo that we are in, that we are trapped in, this animalistic, anamorphic zoo. All right, which were In the beginning, the personified totems and totem symbols, I'm sorry, of tribes of Inner Africa, and that's where the languages came from. So when I'm looking at this right now because it's Geomancy. Geomancy is one of the sources to let you know that the language comes out of Inner Africa. You know what I mean? Hamitic, Shemitic, whatever. So, and another reason I got the Geomancy because I'm going to go to the original Hindu text, okay, Sanskrit, about Skamba. All right, Skamba is the same thing as the manifestation of you being trickled down into the manifestation of 3D reality. All right, it's just like the cover of this book, the Kabbalah, the Mystic Kabbalah by Dion Fortune. Okay, that big, the macrocosm represents you as basically, you know, Skamba, or the god Asar, or the god Ptah, right? Which are none other than the composite deities, or Ra, composite deities of the primordial 8 deities known as the Agdawad, which are in the symbol and represent the word known today as Ankh. Ankh. In the word Ankh, there are the 8 gods: Amun, Amunet, Nun, Nunet, Hu, Huket, Hu, Huhet, and these represent the primordial beginnings of the manifestation of life in this 3D reality, and operating it and experiencing it. All right, so. And you can clearly see that there's a apex here that's representative of the 0-point energy, known as Keter. Now what it is that Keter is the manifestating point of the 0-point energy. Okay, so it is basically the presenter of the infinitesimal, omnipresent point of 0-point energy. All right, from the 0-point energy, which I believe the ancient Kemites referred to as the Benu stone, right? And then the cracking of that stone, right, brings forth everything, like the beginning of a point, and that point going into like this triangle, right? That's the ancient Kemetic symbol. Now, the one of the Hindu symbols, okay, was what is known as the Shiva Lingam. And as you see, there are different aspects right here on the page of the Shinga Lingam and the deity that resides within the Shinga Lingam, the Shiva Lingam, who is the composite deity of 33 gods that reside within it, when it is referred to as the Skambha, a supreme being, the cosmic universal entity, right? Who is of non-entity, a being of non-being, right? So the problem with the symbolism of this, the Kemetic tree of life, the Tekanu, the obelisk, the memorial, is that everything. See, when they use it as a symbol for memorial, it's in relation to time and your lifespan. All right, but when they're using it in ritual, they are using it as, in today's lower class rituals, they're using it for sexual energy. So today, the Shiva Lingam and the Yoni, the Shiva and the Yoni, or the Shiva and Shakti, are, used for none other than tantric worship. So the Western traditions, beginning with Aleister Crowley, who, I'm not saying that he was all out evil. What I'm saying is that the practices that he utilized, the tantric practices, which we know that today that he did these things because Kenneth Grant writes about him. I have the book up right now, Kenneth Grant, The Night Side of Eden, because that deals with the back side of the tree of life, which is the representational space of non-entity, if I may call it the space of non-entity. The way to get to it or through it is Dath, and Dath on the tree of life of the manifested reality is the portal of death. It is the portal that the knowledge of self that you know of as self is dissolved and goes into the other side where you actually come from. Now, that's a whole other subject. So we still on Skamba, and these are different aspects of. Basically, Skamba is the Shiva Lingam. All right. It just seems to me, according to the Sanskrit text, that the Skamba was that word existed before the Shiva or the Lingam being symbolized for Shiva and the body of Shiva. All right. Now, referring to the aspect of time and the Shiva Lingam, this is a symbol. I guess it's in reference from Swami Vivekananda. It comes from an article dealing with the Shiva Lingam being one of the most understood symbolisms of ancient Hinduism, and that it actually represents the expanse of time. Okay, the expanse of time was known to the ancient Kemites as Zep Tepi. You see what I'm saying? It was known as Zep Tepi or Tepi Zep. Some people say it might be backwards, but all right, just wanted to pause and show you an image of what I mean by the concept of Zep Tepi or Tepi Zep, however you want to say it. It represents the primordial point and the existence of the expansion of time. It's what the scientists use or the astrophysicists use to give you the diagrams of the Big Bang, right? The Big Bang. It is my understanding that the Big Bang is, to me, is some type of individual, impersonal representation of the beginning of who we are as existing in this 3D as entities, operating in the mind and the body and all, and this what we call the subtle body, which I'm going to get into, is actually the Skambha and the Linga or the Shiva Lingam. All right, and the top of the Shiva Lingam, which is the top of the subtle body, which is the crown chakra, Sahasrara, right, is representative of an aspect of the 0 point and the 0 point energy. That's why it is the crown. All right, it is the portal from one side to the other, right? That's why the people say that some people say when you die, the soul travels from down here, the solar plexus, through the heart chakra, through up here in the mind, and then it goes out at the top of the head, where most people have a spiraling pattern there on top of the head, right? Usually, all people have this spiraling on top of the head, representative of the number 9 as well, which is on the tree of Kabbalah, known as Chokmah or Chokmah, and that is representation of wisdom, or the foundation of wisdom. Well, that's strange because that's where we metaphorically say wisdom is. It resides in the head or in the brain or in the mind. You know what I'm saying? Which is, just a representation of that. We don't know where memory actually resides. It seems to be non-local, though, according to the quantum mechanic theory and things like that we can't get into right now. But Zep Tepi, you see what I'm saying? Even in this symbol, I don't even know where this symbol came from, but I'm on Crystal Links, and this symbol looks like it has what is known as the teardrop of Ra, all right, coming out of the eye of Ra, that represented the aspects of creation. That also represents an aspect of crystals, because the salt in the ocean, right? And we know that the ocean is symbolism of the beginnings of life. So there we go again with another Zep Tepi point. It's also a triangle. It is also a pyramid. It's also the symbol of a serpent's tooth, i.e. the mouth of the Ouroboros, all right, or the Apep dragon, all right. So many symbols in this, man, and it is used in ritual till this day. This symbol is the symbol of your monad, okay? I said in the last video that it was your fulcrum. It is a symbol of the fulcrum, all right? And the fulcrum is where your glory resides. This symbol right here, they're showing right here, is a personification of the coming of Nebertra, or the wings of Heru, all right? The Son of Righteousness. That is the symbol of the Son of Righteousness right there, all right? This is just many symbols they're showing you on Crystal Links. I will read real quick. During the fabled first time, or Zep Tepi, when gods or aliens ruled the earth, the waters of the abyss receded, the primordial darkness was banished, and the human biogenetic experiment emerged from the light. The Urshu, a category of lesser divinities whose title meant the Watchers, okay, preserved vivid recollections of the gods themselves, puissant and beautiful beings called the Nectaru, who lived on earth with humans in the beginning. My explanation with that would be that you are the aliens. It's El Ain. The word El Ain is the god of the Ain. And if you want to read about the Ain, we can. All we got to do is go to a book on the Kabbalah. All right? You are the El Ain. You are the El Ain. You are the God that came up out as a light out of the darkness or the voidness of non-beingness, which is the source of all things, right? Okay, let me read this to you from the Mystical Kabbalah by Dion Fortune, a great source. But to each his own, you see what I'm saying? You take what you take out of the information and you gain knowledge and wisdom for it, for your own journey and your own path. But this is clearly Moorish science, all right? These are your people's science. There is no separation of people. All humans are all humans. All I'm saying is, according to history and how they've messed it up, trying to detach us from our great feats in history, you know what I'm saying? We got to let them know, no, this is the ancient Moorish science, okay? So, the Kabbalists, this is number 9, page 30 of the book. The Kabbalists recognize 4 planes of manifestation and 3 planes of unmanifestation, or negative existence. This has nothing to do with evil. However, it has been brought into that way by the elite scientists, by the Germans, by the people who are into the shit, but don't want you to be into the shit, because this is how they control you. They control you through this shit. You see what I'm saying? And one of the most ancient names for the black god was Shit. It was called Shut or Sut or Shut, Sut. And it also represented mystery. So the inner workings of human being is the god of mystery. That, you know, that's what it is, you know. Okay, let me continue. All right, the second was Ein Sof, the limitless, and the third, or Ein Sof, or Ein Sof order, the limitless light. Okay, it is out of this last that Keter is concentrated. These 3 terms are called the 3 veils of negative existence, depending back from Keter. In other words, they are the algebraic symbols that enables us to think of that which transcends thought, and which at the same time hide that which they represent. They are the masks of transcendent realities. All right. That's why it's negative to us, to this reality, because it transcends this shit, and everybody think that this is supposed to be, you know, God made the world for you, and it's supposed to be all good or whatever. But you know, this shit is veiled. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. So these 3 veils, Ayin, negativity, Ein Sof, the limitless, and Order, Ein Sof, the limitless light, though we cannot hope to understand them, nevertheless suggest to our minds certain ideas. Negativity implies being or existence of a nature which we cannot comprehend. We cannot conceive of a thing which is and yet is not. Therefore, we must conceive of a form of being of which we have never had any conscious experience. A form of being which, according to our concepts of existence, does not exist, and yet, if one may express it so, exists according to its own idea of existence. In other words, of a very wise man, in the words of a very wise man, there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. All right, goes on and on about negative existence. It's just a lot. All right, want to read something to you again about the Ayin. But what it is, it's in reference to the Ein Sof. So, just listen here. The soul of every, and this is from the book Tarot and Kabbalah by Samuel Anwar, page 106. The soul of every living being emanates from an atom. This is Atum. This atom is the Ein Sof. Okay? Each person has his own Ein Sof. Ein Sof, Ein Sof. All right. Remember the word Sophia, or philosophy. The word philosophy means the love of wisdom, or the love of Sophia. So is it possible that the Ein Sof, which is one of the 3 veils of negative existence, has some type of residence in the second sphere, Sephirah, known as Chokmah, on the Kabbalah tree of life, which is the English word wisdom personifies. So the Ein Sof is a star that shines in infinite space beyond the 9 heavens. Souls must return to their star, to their own Ein Sof. Now, I believe that, and this is metaphorical and things, but, you know, the ship that takes you away from the 3D reality, if we, you know, speaking in words here, is your monad or your Godhead. Excuse me. It is the three. It is Keter Chokma Baina. It is the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, or the Father, the Son, the Mother. They are personified in many ways, in more than likely in the near-death experiences as your mother, your father, your son, your brother, your sister, your cousin, whoever the ones who passed away. Now, why would you say this? Because each one of us are personified macrocosms. Each one of us are personified macrocosms. We are microcosm. We are microcosmic forms of a macrocosm, right? Like many universes. The shells that we carry as human form are just shells. So, and they fall from us when we release this ego, this ego I. So, when we go into the ship is going to have all of our, you know, known experiences in it to give us comfortability on our journey. You see what I'm saying? And until it's like we have the ability ourselves to dissolve all that or to keep all that. It's up to us, because it's like saying it's your own heaven. You create your own heaven. You see what I'm saying? Through the monad that goes into the Ein Sof, or the Ein, and the Ein Sof ordered into the Ein Sof, which is your own inner star, your own home. But what's going on today is that many souls, through some type of trickery that those who are beyond the elite that rule this world or reality by your psyche, they are keeping us trapped here and recycling our souls, and we can't even make it past the moon, Kabbalistically, right? We can't even make it past Yesud to get to our higher self, and we end up being trapped down here in the wheel of samsara. Souls must return to their star, to their own Ein Sof. This return towards their star, the Ein Sof, is a divine event. The day when the soul is self-realized will be when it has the luxury of returning to its star. This was commented on by Plato in his Timaeus. Each three-brained biped being needs to create the butterfly, which is the chrysalis, or the Christ. All right, it's the chrysalis, the butterfly, in order to return to their star. All right, this is the wings on the sun of righteousness. This is the return of Neperu. Neperu is Heru Neb. That's who it is. It ain't no damn, even if it is a planet out there in inner space or outer space, it is a cosmic manifestation of a return of your awakening, an awakening part of yourself or soul. So that right there, he goes on with the 9 heavens. This is a saying on page 128 of the same book in reference to the Ein Sof, which is called the inner guide, or the star of your inner self. All right. This has many relations to some things dealing with the holy guardian angel. All right. That's what is called by the OTO. And not only that, one of the connections to Ein Sof is the constellation Orion. But let me read here. Let us remember the Egyptian constellation of Orion. It is evident that this constellation is governed by 12 great masters, okay? Esoterically speaking, it is stated that these 12 masters hold hands, but the 6th master is missing, meaning that in order to reach realization of the self, we need to lift the veil of Isis. In other words, the Adamic sexual veil. I can get into that later. But the problem with the Shiva Lingam thing and the Tantra and the Tantric yoga is that the rituals are being utilized by the elite in the ways that Aleister Crowley was using it, manifesting things that they want in this reality, you know, in a manner of, you know, their rule, do what thou wilt. It's the whole of the law, and the law is love and things like that. But it's a twisted mechanism. You know what I mean? You can understand it more when you go into Bobby Hemmitt's work, but Bobby Hemmett leans more on to the connection of ayahuasca as Horakti in reference in connecting in communication with Aleister Crowley, right? And there's a hieroglyph with the an entity with a cone on his head or a pyramid speaking to a god, and that represented or Aleister Crowley used that as his visit to this ayahuasca. But this ayahuasca, in my understanding, is everybody's inner guardian angel. One of the ancient symbols was the god Bast. Also Bast, because if you remember the show Sabrina on Disney, her inner genius was she was a witch. Was her best friend was the black cat. All right, the black cat personified her inner genius. Inner geniuses in movies and shows are always either black, known as the magical Negro, or they are white, British-speaking people for some damn reason. That's the Jewish Kabbalistic elite works. That's how they do the shit. But, you know. So, the constellation of Orion has a marked influence over the atomic star that guides our inner self. This is the Ein Sof, Paranishpana, our intimate star. A master once said, I raise my eyes towards the stars that will come to my rescue. Nevertheless, I always guide myself with my star, which I carry, within my inner self. The 15th arcanum of the tarot is the pluralized eye. Esoterically speaking, it is named Satan. And, you know, it goes on into that, because what it is that this individualized eye is separated into many personalities, and you have a fight with your own inner psyche. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's going on with the world today. That's the creation of the devil is coming out of man. You see what I'm saying? All right, now I'm reading all this stuff to you because it is in relation to the Skambha. Okay? And as I continue on, I'm gonna leave this up here. This is a picture of a Skambha. As you see behind it, you see what looks like a cobra that has risen over the Shiva Lingam or the Skambha. And this ball that's on it, I have no idea what it represents, but a clue in my head shows me, I know this might be crazy, but remember the Khepra beetle of ancient Kemet and the great ball of dung, which is a ball of shit that the beetle rolls its seed into, all right? Which not only preserves the seed, but actually when the seed cracks up, the cow manure or whatever manure that the Khepra beetle is using to put the seed in, when the seed hatches, or when the seed hatches, it's the food is it's surrounded by food, which is the shut, right, or the set, or the sut, or the shit. Okay, but this is a symbol of it. We know about the Kundalini energy, all right, and the cobra and the serpent and things like that, all right. Because the thing about this triangle thing, man, you know, I first woke up to it in hip hop when I was stuck on the Rockefeller and the Dynasty, and because I was a fan, and I started waking up around 2006 on things, so I was still a fan of these things, and these niggas was the same. They was using the symbology, and there wasn't nothing good coming out of it, is what I mean. You know, they weren't telling you that this is your inner fulcrum, this is your crown. You know what I mean? This is your glory while you live on the earth. And the elite sucks wants to eat it. They want to eat it up like vampires and shit. This is how they survive. You know what I mean? They become immortal by transferring their consciousness, I'm not saying that the consciousness is local within the fulcrum, but on a symbolic level it is. You know what I mean? Or it is a seat of consciousness is what I'll say. It is the seat of consciousness, your inner fulcrum. All right? Which is the top of the Tekanu, all right? Which is the top of the Tekanu. Here's a symbol on the Tree of Life, on the Tarot and Kabbalah book. As you can see, and as you know, ancient Sumeria has a symbol, has a pictorial like this on their wall, where one of the gods is getting showered by light, Right here, deceased Osiris is being, I want to say it's Ani, but if not, it's on the walls of Kemet, and he is being showered by the vases. Coming up out of the vases is the symbol of life, right? And also remember that we are now in tune with the zodiac sign or the constellation Aquarius, which is the man with the water pitcher. You see what I'm saying? So you can take this image and say that on the front of the image in the center is you. The deceased Osiris is the one. See, basically it's like this. You are awakened. You are soul awakened. Now you are traveling through the hidden world of Aminta. Right? You're seeing all the things that are underlining this obscure reality. Right? It's not the true reality. Right? But let me go ahead and read, if I can, about the top triangle of the Tree of Life, which is Keter Chokmabina, all right, which is the after effect of the 0-point energy. Okay, the tree begins with the Ancient of Days, Keter, who is in the most elevated place of the tree. This is page 181 of the same book, Tarot and Kabbalah. Chokma follows as the second Sephiroth, in other words, the second Logos, which is precisely the cosmic Christ or Vishnu. Then Bina follows, which is the third Logos, the Lord Shiva. Now remember, this is the Shiva Lingam that we're looking at. On the tree, Kabbalah tree, Saturn is aligned with the sphere Bina, and Shiva is aligned with the planet Saturn. And so is the god Sut. So, Keter, Chokma, Bina are the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. This is how the rabbis taught it. Okay, probably in those old times of the Surah University. So this is the divine triangle. Keter, Chokma, Bina is your divine microcosmic triangle. Okay. And after that triangle, there is what is known of as an abyss. It's on the front of the Kabbalah book right here. You see it. The abyss is aligned with the throat, which is the symbol of the word, or the expression of hiddenness coming out in the words of the microcosm. See, that circle that you see there is known as Dot. All right. It is literally in the abyss. So it's the holy guardian angel Thoth. Is Thoth the boundless aspect of life and death, like the point of it, and therefore its communication is so amazing. Its intelligence is so amazing because it's on the border of both worlds, right? The same thing that the shamans and all of the priests of the ancient worlds were trying to do. Get to the borderland or cross over into the other side and then come back to speak about it. It's one of the biggest things in the ancient civilization history. Or at least the civilizations after the prominent ancient civilizations. You see what I'm saying? The ones who built the pyramids and then the ones who came upon the pyramids. All right. So that abyss is there, and it's above the second triangle, known as the ethical triangle, Chesed, Gabura, and Tiferet. All right. Tiferet represents the human soul. Okay. So the first triangle is called the Logoic triangle, according to this book. It is obviously has its center of gravity in the Divine Father, the Ancient of Days, Keter. This is something that anyone can observe. See, because the Theosophic Society, the ancient people, all right, who the Theosophic Society got their shit from, utilize Keter as a primordial point of mathematical representation. Because, space is space. Where do you begin in space? Come on. It's boundless, right? Keter is a mathematical point in the infinite, immense, and unalterable space. This triangle is the triangle of the Father. This is where you get the Father, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, and all that stuff. It's amazing they use that word hallowed be thy name. That's strange. Just a little part here, page 182. The tree of life is the being. All right, the tree of life is the being, and in our physical body, this tree is represented by the spinal column. Okay, now, and remember, on that tree there are 4 sephira that align with the central pillar of the tree of life, which represents the obelisk, the Tekanu, the axis mundi of your inner self. Okay, it is Yesud. See that there's 5, but really we're going to say there's 4, and then there's Dot. There's Malkut, Yesud, Tiferet. The hidden sphere is Dot, which there's not a number pertaining to it within the 10, but it is called the 11th Sephirah. And then there's Keter. All right, so there's 4 right there. That 4 is the Ayod He Vod He, and every 4 letters represents the different levels of or planes of existence, known as Atziluth, Bria, Yesera, Asiya in Kabbalah. All right, that is in a book called Chicken and Kabbalah by a guy who was part of the OTO. All right, a little quick beautiful thing here. Page 183 of the same book, Tarot and Kabbalah by Samuel von War. The innermost was born from the Sephirothic crown. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Remember, when we talking about this, we talking about your inner being, all right? Your foundation of you, which is being itself, which is the real aspect of who you are. Not the Luke, not the John, not the Jennifer, not the Abraham, you know. It's the inner self. The innermost is enveloped within 6 inferior vehicles that penetrate one another, and form the human being. Okay? All of the faculties and powers of the innermost are the fruits of the tree of life. Okay? The human being will eat from the fruits of the tree of life when he returns to Eden in the same way that he departed. Then the human being will see God face to face without dying. Lightning will serve as a scepter for him, and tempests as carpet for his feet. Okay. He says later on, the 12 senses of the human being, all right? The 12 senses of the human being are the 5 senses, and then the 7 chakras of the subtle body. Okay, so that's 7 plus 5, which equals 12, all right? Are related with our spinal column, and also the signs of the zodiac. Okay, so you have to understand this shit is real heavy. You know what I'm saying? The 12 senses of who we are related to our spinal column as well. Okay, which is also related to the central column of the tree of life, or the Kabbalistic tree, the mystic Kabbalah. The 12 senses are the 12 fruits of the tree of life. 12 also relate to the 12 brain receptors, which are compacted with melanin, that can be found in Richard King's book, The Melanin, the Key to Freedom. I have that book as well up there. All right. It would be asinine to continue on with the daggone the cosmic monad. You know what I mean? It's mad information. All right. But that is your crown, okay? That is your crown. I will try to read one more part out of this book, and then I'm gonna go. I might talk about Aquarius because it deals with number 11, and then we're gonna go to Skamba again. We still on Skamba. Everything is still Skamba. All right. But in the glossary, page 300 of the same book, Tarot Kabbalah, the absolute. All right, because the absolute is in representation of the supreme entity, which ancient Hindus would call Skanda or Skambha. All right. Absolute, abstract space, that which is without attributes or limitations, also known as Sunyata, void, emptiness, Para Brahman, Adi Buddha, and many other names. The absolute has 3 aspects. All right. the Ein Sof, and the Ein Sof Ur. Okay, that is the three aspects of the absolute. So the absolute's three aspects are the three veils of negative existence. All right. Now, the absolute is the being of all beings. Okay? The absolute is that which is, which always has been, and which always will be. The absolute is expressed as absolute abstract movement and repose. All right? The absolute is the cause of spirit and of matter, but it is neither spirit nor matter. So remember, it has no attributes other than the negative veils of existence, which are, it's ironic because it's negative veils. So there's the attributes fold in on each other as, you know, we're talking about the absolute. This explains it. The absolute is beyond the mind. The mind cannot understand it. Therefore, we have to intuitively understand its nature. All right. In the absolute, we go beyond karma and the gods, beyond the law. The mind and the individual consciousness are only good for mortifying our lives. In the absolute, we do not have an individual mind or individual consciousness. There, we are the unconditioned, free, and absolutely happy being. The absolute is life, free in its movement, without conditions, limitless, without the mortifying fear of the law, life beyond spirit and matter, beyond karma and suffering, beyond thoughts, word and action, beyond silence and sound, beyond forms. All right? And he goes on to talk about that. So, real quick on the age of Aquarius. On February 4th, 1962, when the age of Aquarius arrived, humanity entered into a very new situation. With the new celestial influence, we saw the arrival of a huge shift in society. All right? Mass rebellion against the old ways, sexual experimentation, and giant social earthquakes shaking up all the old traditions. We also saw the arrival in the West of a strong spiritual longing and deep thirst for true, authentic spiritual experiences. These two elements, one, rebellion to tradition, and two, thirst for spiritual knowledge, are a direct effect of the influence of Aquarius. Okay, I feel that Aquarius has a synonymicity with the holy guardian angel talk. All right. The most revolutionary sign of the zodiac is Aquarius. Aquarius is the water carrier, all right, whose occult significance is knowledge. The doors to the mysteries were thrown open so that humanity can save itself from itself. Of course, the Black Lodge, ever eager to mislead humanity, has produced so much false spirituality and so many false schools that it is very difficult to find the real and genuine path. Okay? That's going to be it from that book. You know what I mean? It's a lot dealing with this situation. Right? The human being is extremely important to the elite's need of one world government, which they are actually succeeding in. Not completely done, but they are exceeding in. Real quick, going to read about the bin bin, which is the capstone on top of the obelisk. So the bin bin, which is the capstone. Now, and another word for bin is sun. All right, but the bin bin, which is the primordial point on the capstone, known as the bindu by the Hindus, right? From this bin bin. This is page 78 of the book, The Kemetic Tree of Life, Muatta Ashby. From this bin in the Kemetic philosophy, you can see the similarity to the concept that arose later in India called the bindu in the Hindu myth and philosophy. Actually, you can see the ancient Egyptian bin point, which is the black dot. All right, you hear everybody talking about the black dot. The man who exposes most of the elite workings in hip hop, along with Professor Griff, is the guy or I call him scholar, known as the Black Dot. The Black Dot in the Hindu yantra called Sri Yantra. Okay, Anu means the first place, the original city, the original spot, the beginning place, and from this single point, which is the Zep Tepi, all right, this single point. Let's go back to crystal links. I think it was. Let me see, where is it? Zep Tepi crystal links. All right. And from this single point, all of creation comes forth, just like the Big Bang theory of the modern physicists, okay? From one single point, all matter comes. All the universe comes into being. It expands out of there. And the Kemetic tradition, being the older, brings forth the teachings for the first time in human history. From this Bin point, same as the obelisk, the golden point at the top of the Tek Anu, or the Teknu, or obelisk, symbol that is in the top center of the Anunian theurgy, Cosmicana mythograph, everything comes into being, into the physical plane, mind you. And if you think about it, the Big Bang theory, or the top of the Tek Anu, is showing you, like, not only the splitting of two thighs, I ain't gonna get into that. It is the, let me see here. It's showing you your crown, the crown of your existence, the being of you, of all beings. That's what that is, right? That's what that is. And the Bin is actually the pyramidion. It has 4 corners, all right? Those 4 corners, you can go to the Hindu and understand that that is in representation of the swastika, okay? And it goes on and on and on and on and on, all right? I don't want to get too deep into that. The word Tek Anu, I feel like, has a relation to Tekion, or Tekion energy, okay? And I will read to you a section in this book on page 7 about Tachyon energy, dealing with the 0 point energy, which is none other than the Bin stone, or the top, or the point of the Bin stone pyramid, the pyramidion. All right, which is the Kabbalah. This is you. This is where the head is. All right, it's your fulcrum. It is your monad. All right, 0 point energy. All right. Let me see if I can get to the gritty. And as you can, okay, 0 point physicists and SOEFs. So I put here, as you can see, 0 point energy, and then I put here beside it Teknu. That's how they spell, because that is the what you call it? It is the definition pictograph of the word Tekanu. All right. Taki means fast. Okay, Taki means fast. Not only that, they say that the tachyon is actually faster than light. So let's go on. The world of science has been proving that matter is simply the condensation of a vibrating universal subtle energy substratum. The ancient Hindus knew about it. The ancient Egyptians knew about it, which is the virtual state otherwise known as 0 point energy. In the production of matter, 0 point energy simply condenses into tachyon energy, which is then converted into frequencies by the subtle organizing energy fields. I believe that these subtle organizing energy fields relate to your subtle body, and those energy fields relate to the energy around and that permeates from the chakras, the chakra system, 7 in general. The 7 chakras, or that subtle body energy, is a closer aspect of who you are. It is the real you. It is the closest part of who you are, the subtle body. All right, the subtle body. The subtle body is the Tek Anu. It is the microcosmic form of the macrocosmic Tek Anu. Okay, everybody's Zep Tepi, or first time, is the memory of their own existence of beingness, or being, this I. All right, not the I of the low ego that claims everything. I did this, I did that, I created this. No, the I that came before this. Who am I? Where do I come from? How did I get here? All right. Because when you asking those questions, you're referring to the I that existed before the questions were asked. And you can go into a book called I Am Unborn. There's another book called I Am That. The Sayings of Maharaj Giri, I forgot the name. Anyway, so these subtle organizing energy fields are called SOEFs. All right, to me they're like little entities, you know what I'm saying, of light, creating all varieties of forms. All right, the term SOEF is described by Dr. Gabriel Cousins in his book Spiritual Nutrition and the Rainbow Diet. Now, I'm going to get into some things about this because the word rainbow is utilized as one of the projects that came to be a part of the Montauk shit. The Montauk Project, the Philadelphia experiment. You think is dealing with just the ships disappearing and disappearing from radar and shit, or transferring, being teleported from Philadelphia to Norfolk, right? Which right now I was born in Philadelphia, and now I live in Norfolk. I used to live in Norfolk as a baby as well, but I was basically spent most of my life in West Virginia, Beckley, West Virginia. But right now I reside in Chesapeake, Virginia, which is right near Norfolk. So it's kind of strange. So that rainbow dye, we're gonna get into that because that's dealing with the 7 chakras. All right, it's dealing with the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and all that shit. Because the gold point is the Bindu seed, which is the Bin, right? That's the pyramidion. The point of the pyramidion is the 0 point energy. And that's why gold was one of the symbols for the soul, you know what I'm saying? Because the soul is representative of the phoenix, right? Which comes from the ashes, right, of existence. So, the rainbow diet, which explains how the subtle energy organizes and increases physical energy as it moves into the material form. It gives us insight into how it is ordered in the physical body. This, of course, is our concern when we are talking about physical healing or repair, however you want to put it. He says later on, 0 point exists prior to the materialization of any object, including the Bin stone, all right? Now, also, I had an awakening when I was dealing with these SOEFs, which are the subtle organizing energy fields, which relate to your subtle body and its 7 chakra vortexes, all right? I said, well, damn, this word SOEF is soif or soif, right? So the letters SOEF, okay, is soif. Sof is Sophia. Sophia, all right? Sophia equals Sufi, right? And this is ancient Moorish science, which is actually Sufism or ancient Sufi science, okay? Now, the Sufi also sounds like Sephirah, okay? The Jews stole the information, or they took the information and utilized it for themselves from the ancient blacks, the ancient Kemites, all right? According to one saying, the Bobby Hemmer said, Sufi, another meaning for Sufi, because it's not the only one, means woolly-haired one, okay? The woolly-haired one is Keter, who sits at the top. That's the Ancient of Days, okay? It's in the book of Revelations, all right? Sufi is Sefer. Sefer equals Nefer, as in the Neferu, or the Neferah, or the Necheru. So Sefer is Sefak, Sebak, Sefak Basra, which represents the 7 chakras of the subtle body. And the Sufis have a science dealing with creative imagination and active imagination, and also are in tune with the intelligences or the intelligence of each and every individual's being, which the Westerns has transmorphed into tantric yoga sexual rituals to connect to their higher genius or their higher selves to get great information in. You can watch the show that's on now called Strange Angel, which talks about the life of Jack Parsons and space rocketry. Okay, space rocketry is the symbol. The rocket itself looks like the Shiva Lingam, the Skambha, the central pillar of the Kabbalah tree, right? With its primordial triangle and its three sephirah. Because what it is this: the duality begins at Chokma and Baina, not at Keter. All right, that it begins there. So the beginning points of the pillars, of the two pillars other than the middle pillar, which is the first pillar, is Chokma and Baina. Baina is on the dark pillar, and Chokma is on the light pillar. Light and darkness, the foundation of duality. All right, before the expanse of 0 point energy into Keter, into duality. All right, so that was just my little thing dealing with that, and that the U.S. Department of Defense acknowledged the existence and potential importance of 0 point technology when it sent out a program solicitation in 1986, which included an interest in esoteric energy sources for propulsion, all right, including 0 point quantum dynamic energy of vacuum space. This shit gets very deep, man. It gets deeper than you could think, because when you align the space rocketry of Jack Parsons, him getting into the OTO, occultic, ritualistic works, as you can see on the show that comes on, I think, CBS, it's called Strange Angel. They ain't not hiding too much shit either. CBS is the all-seeing eye. They're not hiding that much shit. They got this, they use a lot. They got the symbols in there and everything. I got the book on my bookshelf. It's called The Holy Guardian Angel, or it's called The Angel and the Abyss by J.D. Gunther. Google it, and they got the symbols in there dealing with their symbols. These symbols belong to you. They really represent you, the mothers and the gods of the earths. You know what I'm saying? What they call the 5%ers or something like that, right? That's where it comes from. It's ancient symbols of your own inner understanding of who you really are. You know what I mean? And they taken the Hindu tantric system, which is also dealing with the yoga, the Smaitawi of ancient Kemet, and alchemy, right, which is hermetic alchemy, dealing with Hermes, right, Tahuti, right. This aligns with your DNA and your consciousness. Man, it's just a lot. Okay, it's a lot, right? Let me see. 0 point energy is omnipresent. It permeates the entire universe. It also exists in infinite quantity. That is, it can never be exhausted. There are 3 characteristics of 0 point energy, all right, which are of paramount significance for us in our world. Remember, Keter is the 0 point, all right? The 0 point energy is unmanifested into manifestation energy of the 0 point, which is like a mathematical point, okay? It's how we can understand mentally this shit. But the source of the 0 point energy is in representation of the 3 veils of negative existence in the Kabbalah known as Ein Sof order. And this book, Tekayan Energy, right, by David Wagner and Gabrielle Cousins, MD, they talk about how 0 point energy has three characteristics. Okay, the first is that 0 point energy contains all potential. Within 0 point energy is everything needed to create perfect form. The second is that 0 point energy is that it is formless and unmanifested. All right, it is formless and unmanifested. Okay, that's Ein, and then that's Ein Sof, the limitless. The third characteristic of 0 point energy is that it is omnipresent in the universe. All right, Ein Sof order. In summary, 0 point energy is omnipresent in the universe. It permeates everything. It exists in infinite quantity. It is completely inexhaustible, and it contains all the potentials of perfect form. Okay, I've read this book. Okay, and the thing about it is that when he breaks it down, it's almost like Kabbalah. The first stepping down of this formless, unmanifested zero-point energy is into tachyon energy. All right. Then he goes into the German researcher Hans Nieper, who described tachyon as a slightly contracted form of energy or of the virtual state trying to become a particle. The virtual state trying to become a particle. Does this deal with the virtual state of abstraction, the abstract reality before reality? You know what I mean? Like where your ideas come from and things like that. And fighting or trying to come into the existence of time and space, and elements as a reality, as a particle of existence, yo. I mean, this is amazing. It exists at the interface of energy and matter. The interface of energy and matter is the literal skambha. It is your subtle body. It is the universe. It is the matrix. It is the tekanu. It is the interface. Okay. And they used to always in ancient times, like Heru was the face of God. You see what I'm saying? Or the face. It was the presenter of that which is veiled. You know what I mean? Heru. So, Philip Callahan, an entomologist who developed the first experimental evidence of tachyons by hooking a weeping fig plant up to a special electromagnetic sensing device, defines a tachyon as a particle moving faster than the speed of light. All right? He goes on and on and on. This interplay of research and theory provided the subtle organizing energy field matrix for Dr. Cousins' theory as outlined in his book. He says, these are fields which both create and energize the template form of living systems. SOEFs exist throughout all aspects of the energetic continuum. As SOEFs emerge out of the virtual state, they are capable of organizing on any level of the human body, from cellular structure to the organ systems and even to subtle bodies. These SOEFs resonate with the unlimited virtual state energy, transferring it through various step-down systems that eventually transsude into the energy fields of the human body. It has to step down into this physical reality. The SOEFs thus resonate, and they sacrifice themselves, resonate with and energize the body-mind complex. It's just amazing. It's just like the 0 point resonates with what the Samuel von Wahr called our inner star, our inner Ein Sof. You know what I'm saying? You connect with it more through meditation. It's a part of your spiritual evolution. You see what I'm saying? When we become more aware of it, it awakens our consciousness. We are connected with cosmic consciousness. It's amazing, man. So that deals with that. Okay. Skambha. Let me see this is what Gerald Massey says about Skambha. The Hindus personify a kind of pre-evil or evil supreme being as Skambha, whose name signifies the prop, support, or fulcrum. All right? The fulcrum of existence. He formed the first abode. The abode is the abode of your mind. It is the abode of your inner essence of individual existence, not pertaining to the exterior ego, though. You see? He who with a prop. The prop is the central pillar of the tree of life. Okay? So the prop is this, okay? And the triangle is right here, okay? And that's the prop for the triangle, okay? And you can even say that it's like this, tilted, because we resonate with the Earth's axis and the electromagnetic field of the Earth. The Earth's axis is tilted at a 23.4 or something degree angle. All right, hence the Michael Jordan number 23. And though the axis is aligned with your 7 chakras, the 7 watchers, the 7 planets of the solar system, your spinal column. All right. Skambha held the 2 worlds apart. like the unborn. He is typified as the tree. And the gods, who are all comprehended in Skambha, are his branches. Okay? The gods on this tree represent the watchers or the planets. All right? But there's paths in between, the tree, 32. And on the paths reside entities. And then on the back of the tree resides entities as well. Okay? Rather, he is the tree type impersonated in a masculine instead of the feminine form. Okay? Which was the sycamore tree or the Persia tree of ancient Kemet. It was feminine. What's the movie? Bag of Bones. Is it Bag of Bones? Stephen King? The tree, the black woman was that tree. And he worshipped the tree. So, Skambha is the fulcrum of the whole creation as the tree. First of 2 branches and then of 4. Think about the 4 sides of the pyramid. The 2 primordial branches, which are, you can think of the branches of non-entity as being the pillars of the tree of life into duality, light and dark. The 2 primordial branches are termed those of non-entity and entity, according to the theory that in the first age of the gods, the existent sprang out of the non-existent. Here it should be observed that this beginning is theoretical and metaphysical, whereas the actual beginning was in accordance with observation. When he goes on to say that, metaphysics didn't exist back then. That don't mean that they didn't think metaphysically, because they did, because metaphysics means beyond the physical or paraphysical. So, how Gerald Massey wrote that might have been misleading towards certain people, but you have to, have your own mind. Now, the Egyptian noon or phase of condition, place or point of commencement is negative. Okay, think about the negative veils of existence I was just telling you about. It is identical with not and none, right? One of the symbols for that was in ancient Kemet was this, none, because the arms went out like this, and it was no, none. It's funny, but it denotes existence in the negative condition of water, or the firmament considered as water, the space, the firmament considered as water, and entity, which signifies the coming out of, is determined by the flower of blood or bleeding and the froth and foam of water. Aphrodite was created by the foam of the sea. You know what I'm saying? And he goes on and on to connect the Skambha with the Chinese system and just everything like that, man. It's beautiful. Gerald Massey is a great source. The Chinese system of feng shui, or the breath of nature, said to have commenced with the absolute nothing. All right? Remember, I talked about the absolute in the book Tarot and Kabbalah. The absolute nothing, out of which the great absolute was evolved, begins phenomenally with the 2 truths of water and breath, corresponding perfectly to the water and breath of the ancient Egyptian Ma'ati, water, or Shui, for shade and light. So shade and light are the 2 pillars of the Kabbalah tree. The female principle became the representative of non-existence, or the darkness, because it transformed into existence as breath, or the light. The 2 were essentially one in Keter, from the Iron Soft order, okay? Just as dew is condensed vapor, and vapor is rarefied moisture. So he goes on to speak about it. He says that the Ayin, or Ein Sof of the Jewish Kabbalah, the boundless, endless, or timeless, because it is before time, this is the timeless. We're dealing with the timeless. Is of a negative nature. All right? Let me repeat this again. The Ayin, or Ein Sof of the Jewish Kabbalah, the boundless, endless, or timeless, is of a negative nature, and in a sense non-existent, because it is in that negative aspect of existence. It's pre-existent. Okay? It has the negative nature of the Egyptian noon. Okay? And I just showed you on the book, in the book. This is also an actual image of the god Noon. But what happens on the front is that they're showing you Noon coming up out of the waters, lifting up the boat of beingness up out of the waters. And there's the Kepler beetle as well on the boat. All right? And that red sphere represents your essence. Okay, and also the Bindu's point that the Hindus put on their heads today. All right, Nun, the negation out of which creation came. It has the negative nature of the Egyptian Nun, the negation out of which creation came. All right, but the Kemetic typology affords us a tangible foothold, once again in the vast void of metaphysical vagueness. This goes back to them, the Theosophists or the ancients, creating a mathematical point to represent a perfect measure of non-entity into entity of this in coming out into this space vacuum, this vacuum space. All right, he's talking about it. Okay, it shows us the Nun or abyss as the mother nature who produced the first 7 elemental powers and formed with them the Ogdoad that was continued by the Jewish Kabbalah, in which the first of the 10 Sephiroth or manifestors of the Ein Sof has 7 other names, and the Ogdoad are designated the circled or pleroma of primordial powers. See, okay, so you have the top. Above the abyss is 3. Below the abyss is the remainder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the 7 elemental powers. All right. You can see the abyss right there. It's got 2 cloudy looking lines. In between is that darkness area. That's that represents the abyss on this cover. All right. And then you can see the trappings of the triangle around the sun. Okay. I don't get into that. So, because we are boundless, but in this physical flesh we are bound. So there's the conundrum. All right. The Kamite Nun or In, whence enti, existence, and Niet, the genetrics. All right. There it is. The genetric is the matrix. Was not negative in itself. Okay. But only in relation to other things. All right, as the water is negative to breath. You see what I'm saying? Meaning we can't breathe underwater like we want to. You see? In one form, the Nun is the new inundation. In another, it is the child, called the Nunu. English, Nini, Nini. Italian, Nina, and Nan. Modern Greek, Ninyon, which is negative because impubescent. One of the urban words for the vagina is nana, or the il nana, Foxy Brown. So he goes on and on to talk about the Nun. I mean, I guess we should have an understanding about this. The Nun, or the Nu, was heaven personified as the bringer of the water and the breath of life. And this mother, heaven as bringer, had been the inner African mother from the beginning. All right? All right. So, before we close it out, we're going to read a little bit about Skambha out of the actual original Sanskrit texts. All right? Chapter 7 of this book here. And then we're going to roll out. Because he's going to give you the whole script, but we're just going to give you the intro to me telling you what this is. In the following hymn of the Ayurveda, or the AV number 10 or 10:7, the supreme deity appears to be celebrated under the appellation of Skambha, or support. Your beingness is your support of you. I know it's hard to understand, but the I has to have support, right? The I, the jet pillar. The inner self has to have a support and stability. You see what I mean? I had that somewhere. I had it ready for you somewhere. I can't even find it. Couldn't find what I wanted to find, but I was going to show you a picture of the jet pillar, or Ptah as the jet pillar, and this represents the entity that would be the supreme deity in the Hindu, known as the support of your being, or beingness. All right. So continuing on, though it is rather tedious, I shall translate it nearly full. We're not going to get into that today. So he says that in the first part, verses 1 through 6 and 10 through 12, Skambha is considered, like Purusha, with whom he seems to be identified, verse 15, as a vast embodied being, okay, coextensive with the universe, and comprehending in his several members not only the different parts of the material world, but a variety of abstract conceptions, such as austere fervor, which is tapas, faith, truth, and the divisions of time. He is distinct form and superior to Prajapati, who founds the worlds upon him. Meaning Prajapati's support is Skambha. The 33 gods are comprehended in him, and remember, this is the 33, which is in personification of the 33 vertebrae on your spinal column. Okay, the 33 was the age of the crucifixion of the Christos, which represents the empowerment of the cosmic Christ within us, and not the ending of the Christ or the sacrifice, and that's it, and waiting on a return. The 33 gods, okay, and arose. The 33 gods are comprehended in him and arose out of non-entity, which forms his highest member. So, non-entity forms the highest member of Skambha. All right? Remember the Tak of the Tekanu. Remember the Zep Tepi. Remember the Bin Bin. Remember 0 point energy and all that. Remember the 3 negative veils of existence. Okay? These members, all of these, rose out of non-entity. All right? Non-entity, which forms his highest member, and as well as entity, is embraced within him. The gods who form part of him as branches of a tree, all right? Branches of a tree, okay? All right? Do him homage and bring him tribute, all right? He is identified with Indra in verses 29 and 30, and perhaps also with the highest Brahma, who is mentioned in verses 32 through 34 and 36. And in the first verse of the next hymn, excuse me, in verses 36, however, this Brahma is represented as being born or perhaps developed from toil and tapas. Attributes, or what's in this part, the attributes of the supreme deity are assigned to him. In compositions of this age, however, we are not to expect very accurate or rigorous thinking or perfect consistency. All right. It says here in the note, he formed the first abode. He who, with a prop, Skambha, held apart the two worlds like the unborn. You see, in the actual scripture, when they are the whoever wrote it is explaining to you, you know, who is the Agni, who is this, where does the moon traverse? It all happens in Skambha. It's giving you an expression of mystical Kabbalah, all right? And that's what's so strange about it. Like, it says, in what member of his does austere fervor stand? In which is the ceremonial contained? In what parts do religious observance and faith abide? In what member is truth established? From what member does Agni blaze? From which does Matar Isvan, the wind, blow? From, like Shu, all right? From which does the moon pursue her course, traversing the mighty body of Skambha? All right, here's the moon, right there. In what member does the earth reside? In which the atmosphere, in which the sky is placed, and in which the space above the sky? Whither tending does the upward fire blaze? Whither tending does the wind blow? Tell who is that Skambha? Tell, who is that Skambha to whom the paths tend? The paths, all right, the paths upon the tree, and into whom they enter. Whither tending do the half months and the months in concert with the year proceed? It just goes on and on to tell you these things. Tell who is it that Skambha to whom the seasons and other divisions of the year advance. The Tekanu, the obelisk, the mystical Kabbalah, all these things measure all of this, all right? They measure all of this, the day of time. The Tekanu, the obelisk, is till this day utilized as a sundial, But the ancient Kemites in the city of Heliopolis utilized these as sundials. But the ancient blacks of the Nakta Playa Valley, all right, and the ancient blacks of Nakara 1, 2, and 3, right? They don't tell you about too much. They were creating sundials. They were creating the constellations of Orion on the ground in Sudan and Nubia before the ancient Kemites came across and started building the pyramids. So, I mean, it's amazing, right? Who is it that Skamba, on whom Prajapati has supported and established all the worlds? It just goes on and on and on. Tell who is it that Skamba, in whom men recognize the worlds and receptacles, the waters and divine thoughts as existing, and within whom are non-entity and entity, in whom austere fervor energizing maintains its highest action, in whom the ceremony of faith, the waters, and divine science are comprehended. It just goes on. It's beautiful. In whom the earliest Rishis, the Rik, the Saman, the Yajus, the earth, and the one Rishi reside. Remember, the Rishis are your 7 primordial energy centers, the chakras. They also represent the 7 stars in the Great Bear. The Purusha, in whom immortality and death are comprehended, who has the ocean within him as his veins. That Skamba, of whom the 4 regions are the prime evil arteries, and in whom sacrifice displays its energy. I just said that sacrifice represents energy. The crucifixion. They who know the divine essence, Brahma, right? Your Brahma, divine essence, resides in your glory. And Purusha, no, Paramashtin. Parameshtin. He who knows Parameshtin and he who knows Prajapati, they who know the highest divine mystery, Brahmana, know in consequence Skamba. It just goes on and on. It's a beautiful thing. You should read it yourself. All right. The original Sanskrit text on the origin and history of the people of India. Free PDF. You can get it online. All right. Because it's just going to go on and on and on. Men regard the branch of non-entity, which is prominent, as if it were paramount. The inferior men, as many as worship thy branch, regard it as an entity. See, mighty indeed are those gods who have sprung from non-entity. Men say that that non-entity is one, the highest member of Skamba. This is some beautiful things, man. Let me see. Some, okay, in Skamba, in whose 33 gods found their several bodies. Some possessors of sacred knowledge know those 33 gods. Men know Hiranyagarbha to be supreme and ineffable. Skambha, in the beginning, shed forth that gold, all right? In the beginning, that gold is the Binbin, all right? Hiranya, out of which Hiranyagarbha arose. That means that Hiranyagarbha must be a personification of the Binbin, or the, let me see, the phoenix. He must represent the phoenix as well. It just goes on and on. Indra, I mean, what you want me to do? You know what I mean? We're gonna have to wrap this up. It's almost an hour and a half. The 6th vast when the unborn first sprang into being, he attained to the independent dominion, than that which nothing higher has ever been. Reference be to that greatest Brahma, of whom the earth is the basis, the atmosphere the belly, who made the sky the atmosphere the belly. Here's the atmosphere right here, right? Here's the belly. The belly is in the solar plexus of the macrocosm. The solar plexus is in the belly of the macrocosm. The solar plexus is in the belly of the microcosm, known as the solar chakra. The 3rd chakra up, okay? they breaking down Kabbalah to you. So the Jews did not have it first. It's all a bunch of bullshit, and all we gotta do is study this stuff, yo. Need I go on, right? Right? I mean, come on. How is it not Let me see. How is it that the wind does not rest? How is not the soul quiescent Why do not the waters seeking after truth ever repose? The great being is absorbed in austere fervor in the midst of the world, on the surface of the waters. To him all the gods are joined, as the branches round the trunk of a tree. It's just amazing. I'm gonna have to wrap it up, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. I think he breaks the sense of skambha is, in my opinion. No, here it is, right here. I have been favored with the following note on the subject of AV 10.7 by Professor Goldstucker, whom I consulted as to the sense of verse 21 and the idea conveyed by the word skambha, which forms the subject of the hymn. I'm going to read this and I'm going to be done, y'all, okay? The sense of skambha is, in my opinion, and I read this in the last video, but this is to cap the video, the same as that given in your original Sanskrit text. Skam or stam being merely phonetic varieties of the same yatu, and skambha therefore the same as stamha. It is the fulcrum, and in the Atharva Veda hymn 10.7 and 8 seems to mean the fulcrum of the whole world, okay, in all its physical, religious, and other aspects. The object of the hymn being to inquire what this fulcrum is. From the answer given to the various questions, it seems to follow that it is there imagined to be the primitive deity, or the primitive Veda, the word Brahman in the neuter implying both. From the primitive Veda, not visibly but really, Sat, existing. Not only all the gods, world, religious, rites, etc., were derived, but also the existing three Vedas and the Atharvan were fashioned from this skambha. This skambha is therefore also Jeshtam Rama, and it has a corresponding preeval Jeshtam Brahmanam. Hence, while he who knows the existing Veda has also a knowledge of Brahma, he who knows Brahma and also Prajapati, and hence possesses a knowledge of the primeval Brahmana portion of the primeval Veda, may infer, Anu, from such knowledge a knowledge of the skambha, or that of the primeval Veda itself. Verse 17. This primeval Veda is the treasure which is kept by the gods only. Verse 23. This treasure which is kept by the gods only. Okay. Hence, the Atharva Veda priest, Brahma, who has a knowledge of those god guardians of the primeval Vedas, has the knowledge, or he who has such a knowledge is a true Atharva Veda priest. Verse 24. From this then, it would likewise follow that the existing three Vedas are merely portions of the primeval Veda, whence they were derived. These would have to be close to the Kamite and the Indus Kush times, or to adhere to the metaphor, branches of that tree, fulcrum. And moreover, that while skambha is the reality, these branches or these branch Vedas are not the reality, though those who do not understand the skambha may take them for such. Some people think that the existing branch, i.e. the existing Vedas, compare verse 20, which is not the reality, is, as it were, the highest Veda. On the other hand, those people inferior to the former, who believe that it is the reality, worship thy branch, i.e. those later Vedas. So, I mean, it just goes on and on to giving you some very amazing information. I don't even know if I should continue on to that. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of shit, y'all. You know what I mean? We're dealing with skambha. Ancient primordial symbol of the beingness that you come from, right? It says on this website, hinduhumanrights.info, that in yoga philosophy, the term linga refers to the subtle body. The term linga refers to the subtle body. All right, the Shiva Linga is the subtle body. I'm going to have to get into another video dealing with this because we're dealing with some stuff here, right? This means that the perverted elite have created a symbol for your subtle body to represent it as a penis. Okay? A Peter. Peter is the rock of the church, of the exoteric Christ. I won't get into that. So, you know, the oiling of the rock. Let me see here. So you know that the Hindu, they show divine worship to the Lingam and persona and representation of what it represents, which is Shiva, okay, which is their god, all right, and they glorify it and things like that. I mean, here's a perfect example right here. This is a representation of the skamba, and this woman is putting flowers and leaves and things like that on it, right? Which is great, okay. So what has happened with the sexual alchemy of the tantric rites of the ritualistic elite people who do this shit under wraps for purpose of controlling the masses of the world, right? These are the ones you don't fuck with. You see what I'm saying? So right here is what I was telling you about, how they have turned the subtle body, your subtle energy centers, your higher will centers, into blasphemy, into lower levels of self, into sexual energy that you disperse and release continuously, right? Because see, in the ancient Kemites, they had a ritual when they were going through the hidden land of Amenta, where you oiled the 7 parts of the body, which align with the endocrine glands, or the main ganglia of the body, which represent the 7 chakras, the 7 centers of your subtle body. There's 7 oils, okay? So the Christians who stole information from the Gnostics, the esoteric Christians, the Assyrians and all that, and didn't know what the hell they was doing, just wanted to control the masses with religion, perverted it, you know what I'm saying? So here is an image of Peter, all right? This is sexually unusual expression of the life force of Ra, of the life force of your inner glory, all right? And I'm going to show you this. What you got to do, you have to study androgen and estrogen, okay? Study androgen and estrogen. It's dealing with your sexual energy and stuff like that, all right? Shango is also Shiva as well, okay? Ra is Shiva, all right? Heru is Horus, and Jacob is Horus, risen to become Israel when he wrestles with the angel at the top of the rock, which is pineal, right? Pineal is the pineal gland. Okay, so what it is this. You either when you're referring to the Shiva Lingam, and when you are referring to tantric yoga, sexual alchemy, you're referring to either 2 things. You're referring to either the penis, okay, and the vagina, really, or you are referring to the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. All right. There's a movie called Creature, I think, that deals with that. The 2 scientists, the scientists trying to tap into unseen realities, and they pituitary gland vibrates to help them see it. The pineal gland is the observer. I can't get into that either, but boom. So here's the image. Okay. Let me see. Let me read, because the pineal gland is calcified. Okay. when you awaken, which is called nehast in ancient Kemet, right? It's nehast means to awaken to the higher existence. All right. If you don't awaken to the higher existence, your pineal gland still remains calcified and things like that. Okay. So you resort to the lower level shit to try to get what you want to manifest, which is the sexual alchemy that the Aleister Crowley and them was doing. It goes into tantric, the Hindu, Tibetan tantric yoga. So, and also when we're dealing with the rainbow diet and the rainbow energy, Yesod, which is the moon, has a rainbow around it. It also has a man who has his hands. It looks like he has one hand, the right hand behind him, and the other hand in front of him on his pelvic area. All right, pelvic region. Surrounding him is his aura. Okay. Around his head is a halo, and around the whole sphere of Yesod is the rainbow, or the subtle body chakra system, yo. It's crazy. We're gonna have to read on Yesod, okay? And Yesod is Yesod. Yesod is they hide in the D. The D is hiding the T. All right, which is Tao. Okay, which helps you rise above. So here is the symbol. But he says that in Deuteronomy 23:1, he that is wounded in the stones, or hath his privy member cut off, shall not enter unto the congregation of the Lord. Deuteronomy 23:1. The woman also with whom man shall live, or lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the even. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from the uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanliness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. You know what I mean? The tabernacle is the fulcrum, the pineal gland. We're not, okay, the sexual alchemy, okay? We boom, whatever. So look at this. All right? This is what happens when you commit to masturbation, okay? Your lower energy is you know, with the help of oils and things, right, is jacking off and releasing the semen, and you're wasting your vital essence. Okay, that's the lower form of it. The two stones that are beside it, clearly a representation of the testes or the testicles. Okay, they were drawing shit like this back in the day. That's the penis, and that's Peter kneeling down on his knees. All right. Now, on a higher note, the 7 chakras align with these with 7 essential oils that are within nature that you can get, and you can do rituals of these. When your meditation is you meditating to resurrect the Kundalini energy, which is feminine, which is Shakti. Shiva is the Lingam. The Shiva, which is the Lingam, is your subtle body, and Kundalini energy or Shakti goes round and around it, right? That's the sexual alchemy. That's the serpent. You know what I mean? That's the energy. Think about the tree of life and the Garden of Eden and the golden apple or the fruit and all that. It's all connected. All right? And they have, so this is how they do. See, they get into your body, your lower subtle body centers, to keep your energy down there. They put all kind of shit into the music, the media, right? Like, you know how cocaine, you sniff it, right? But crack, you smoke it and it go right to your brain. Okay? So they got certain ways, like subliminal messages that go right to your subconsciousness. You see what I mean? Music that go right into your emotional centers and fuck with you. You know what I mean? Make you amped up, make you happy, make you sad, make you envious, make you jealous, all kind of shit. This is shit I've been trying to tell people about. The movies, just everything. It's in everything. Cartoons, everything. They've been doing this shit for decades, for centuries. I mean, I don't know. And what they do, and see, because think about this. When you create in your creative imagination, that's the same thing on a higher level of when you ejaculate when you have sex and things like that, because the ejaculation is what creates the seed, or is what makes the seed in the womb of the woman, right? Which the womb of the woman is a personification of space, or of the vacuum of space, and you become physical within the triple nine, or the triple darkness of space, 9 trimesters. It also represents the 10 Sephiroth. You know what I mean? You have Keter, which is the essence of you, and then you have the rest of the 9, which are the 9 months. Okay? So, we're going to go back into that. You know what I mean? Skambha, the Tekanu, Tachyon energy, beingness, awareness, and all that. We're going to get into it, y'all. Okay? I spent way too much time on this than I thought I was going to do. So, that's the lesson for today. You know what I mean? That the ancients dealt a lot with time, life, death, and the self, the hidden self, that's behind the eyes, that's like behind the eyes, that's behind the eye, that's in the mind, that's behind the mind. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Right? So on that note, we're gonna come back on a part 2 of this, I guess, because it's just too much information going on. All right? I want to say Ashe. And I hope y'all got something out of this. All right? Peace.